GameGuru live broadcast. This will be your summary of all things GameGuru related, some from the community and some from the inner circle, doing things like bug fixing, adding small features and the rest of it. But before we get really started with some show and tell, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me and that the volume is good. So I'm going to check out my own private chat window, which you cannot see yet. And it sounds like at least one person in the chat can hear me, which is great, so I can carry on. So I've got a little list in front of me and I'll go through them in order. The first thing I'd like to show you is depth of field. Now, I didn't do this, this was Preben, and rather than talk about it, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of a video from his Patreon page. So I'll just play a couple of seconds of this. So you can see here that it's subtle. Depth of field is often subtle, but basically what is depth of field? It sort of blurs the distance and really objects in the foreground and creates a focal point where it's crisp graphics in sort of a middle region, and you can control when it starts to blur in the distance and when it starts to blur in the foreground. But the effect is something you see in a lot of professional photography and in nearly all modern games. And it's been lacking in GameGuru Max for a while, but thanks to Preben it's now been integrated, and that will be available at some point in the EXP build that most of you are familiar with, and it will be available in the dev test build earlier than that. And also, just to follow on from that, is this little one, which is another demonstration not only of depth of field, but some post-processing magic. In the last one you saw the snow, that was a post-process effect, and this is the dust post-process effect, again written by Preben. Having a lot of fun with shaders at the moment, and as you can see right in the distance there's a zombie, but he takes most of the video to actually get up close and personal. But you get the idea that this is probably a better demonstration of depth of field. As you can see in the distance, it is quite blurred out, but it's done naturally. And you see the post in the foreground, that's well blurred out. That's basically depth of field. So keep an eye for that coming to a GameGuru engine near you soon. And the other thing I'd like to show you is particles, which we've been working on. You've probably seen this from last time. I'll just show you in case you're tuning in for the first time. Remember before it was decals? Well, now it's proper volumetric particles. So there's a metal one, which is sparks. There's a wood one. There's one for the ground, but you can't really see that well because we're up here. And you got the concrete one as well. Now these are the first draft of the particles. I know we could probably do a better job, but it's in now. I mean, the particles is the one, the metal particle is the one I've probably worked on the most. One thing it's not doing yet and should do is it will track the direction of the animation. So if I swipe like that, you'd expect the particles to splash off in that direction. So that's something that's still being worked on, but it will add more visuals to basic combat. And on that subject, melee combat is also being worked on. There was internal talk of using something called decal projection, so you can kind of leave lasting marks like a scrape across the barrel, scrape along the wood, or if you're in a combat situation your sword might be full of blood, or the character you're attacking might be full of blood. But decal projection didn't work. Think of decal projection as a projector, projecting like an illuminated sign. It doesn't stick to objects that then move around and animate. So that was basically a dead end. So the good news is, yes, decal projection is in the Wicked Engine DX11 version that we are using, but we can't use it for the scorch damage and impact marks and blood splats on characters and weapons and hands and things. So we're going to have to look for another technique. It's not going to be difficult, it's just a case of finding what is the technique that is most versatile and can be used for everything in one go. For example, these particles that I demonstrated, not a lot of extra work was required in terms of media. It was just dropping a particle effect into the old decals folder. The engine detects that, oh, there's a particle option, and it switches to use that. And before it actually gets released officially, we'll have a little tick box where you get to decide on a per project basis whether you want the new particle systems or you're quite happy with the old decal ones. So that was some things I'd like to show in terms of progress, but the thing that was requested that I talk about before we go into the Q&A, which is the main bulk of our broadcast today, is the LOD generator. Specifically, how does it get used? So let me show you what it is and how to find it, and I'll go through all the instructions as best as my knowledge is on that subject. There is a more detailed explanation of the full LOD generator on Preben's Patreon page. I'm just going to show you a quick tutorial on how to use it within GameGuru Max, the light version. So I'm going to pick this Spire from the Arctic collection and click full screen preview button. That basically allows you to look at the object and decide if you want to put it in your level. And this showed up a while back, LOD Generator Lite. I think I introduced it briefly in a previous broadcast, but I kind of skimmed over how it's supposed to be used, so I'm going to do that now. So you click LOD Generator Lite, and what you're presented with is two models. The one on the left is the original, and the one on the right is your LOD attempt. And so I'm going to go through from top to bottom what all these things do, and so eventually it will make its way into the guide as well. So ignore this top button for now, but that's your final destination. And the highest polygons and lowest polygons. Now what this is, it allows you to control how much degeneration that you want on your model. LOD is level of detail, so this LOD 0 will be the most polygons used when you're nearest to the object, all the way through to LOD 3, which is the geometry that's used when this object is really far away. And you can get to decide how many polygons you want in each stage. So let's take two extreme examples. So I want the highest possible polygons at the lowest, and then the lowest as low as you can get. So you click optimize. So it's doing 10,042 at the highest polygon count. That's probably like no reduction, and then 2086 at the lowest, and it spreads it across these levels. If I were to say no, I don't want a lot of polygons, this is just scenery, so you dial it right back down, what this highest polygon slider is doing is saying you are not allowed to produce like 75% of the polygon options. So now when you click optimize, you see the actual top level is 2608 because it couldn't go higher than that because you set the slider. And of course the lowest at 1912 because anything below that and things start to break. And the converse is true. If we actually said we want highest polygons possible but don't drop below a quality of say 75% of the original, then you'll actually get 10,000, 9,000, 8,000, 7,000. You notice it never gets near the really low polygon results. So I've probably gone into a lot of detail for two sliders, but it really explains why they are used. When you load in the preview object and you bring it into the LOD Generator Lite, it will actually show you the number of polygons in this line here. Then you get to decide whether you can get away with half the number of polygons or quarter a number as your closest starting point. And then you can use this previewer and it will actually toggle between the states, so you get a sense of what you want to avoid is an obvious pop as it transitions from one to the other. And when you get these numbers right and these different LOD levels right, it's all based on the object that you are trying to reduce. Every object is different, and you think that's acceptable, then and only then will you actually click the save LOD, and it will save what you've chosen alongside the original object. And then the next time you run GameGuru Max and the next time you bring in this model, it will actually, oh, you've got LOD as well, and it will include that as part of its process and automatically switch between the LODs. You don't have to do anything once you've decided the LOD levels that you want for your object. And just for lovely informations, you get to see the textures associated with the model and the vertices and indices. Some models may not have indices. I think in that case the LOD generator generates them for you. And as I said, this is the light version. There is a super massive full version from Preben, which you can get from his Patreon page, and you'll find links to that full version down here. So when you're happy with your creation, in fact what I'll do is I'll have quite a low. So I just want 2,601, then you click Save LOD. I've done it before, so I'll overwrite it. And then you get a nice little thank you very much for using the light version. The biggest difference I would say between the light version and the full version is it's not one object at a time. You could load an entire level in one go, and it will batch convert the lot into a standard LOD setting that you've given it. But there is often sometimes the importance of going into an individual object and then modifying the default settings for LOD, because you'll find things like models with holes, models with a contoured edge, that's obvious from a distance, will need a different treatment. So there you go. That's how you use the LOD generator light, and this is how you find it inside the object library preview area. Okay, so other things that have been going on is the remote project system. So that's still in progress. We're probably about 80% through, just making sure that all of the files that your game uses are located in the remote location. Things like your behaviors and audio and scripts and files that are related to the scripts, they all need moving across. So that's what's being tested right now, making sure that you could zip up your remote project, give it to someone else, they can unzip it, drop it in, and they could get everything up and running on their machine without having to need DLCs or any custom content. The idea is it's just one folder with everything in it, and there's multiple good reasons to have that there, not least of which is a very reliable way to save standalones when you're ready to save, and also a nice local storage area for your custom game content. I think when you get to a certain point, you're writing a game, you'll tend to be using a lot of custom stuff and very little out of the box stock stuff. Another thing that I've been working on is the save game. So when you've done your save standalone and you've got your game, there's an ability to save your game position and reload it. As our scripts have got more sophisticated, so too has the game save system, and the more advanced games that are coming along are starting to experience things like you go into a room having opened a door, save your position, you reload that, and the door is closed and it doesn't work after that. Not a very useful thing to have in your game. So there's a lot of work now, not only internally in creating some test scenarios, but actually working with people who are quite far along in their game projects to make sure that the game save works sufficiently well that it doesn't trap people in rooms and everything behaves nicely. And that includes shops and trading and collection items and stuff like that. That was a recent addition, and the original save game just ignored all things like inventory and stuff, and it has to account for everything, all the item transactions, resource collections, your inventory, your personal stats, all that has to be tracked properly across multiple levels. So that's quite a bit of work, and it's in progress, and hopefully we'll be able to release that as an EXP in the not too distant future, along with the other things that I've been mentioning. So that's it for a quick update. As always, if you want me to showcase something that you are working on and you can produce a small video of it, I'll be very, very pleased to put it at the start of each broadcast so everyone in the community knows what's going on. I've been privileged to see some stuff behind the scenes, and it's really exciting to see what's being worked on. Hopefully there'll be a grand reveal down the road so you can actually see what everyone's been doing. So without further ado, let's check out your questions that you've been kindly entering into the live chat, and then see if we can get through them all before the hour is up. So without further ado, let's roll B-roll. Okay, now the usual ritual of finding the the live chat window prompt, which I think is that one, and I press that, then I press that. Hopefully you can't see what I'm doing, so this will be nice and magic when I press the right one, and I found the right one. Great. Finally, I will resize the window so we get maximum question coverage, which will bring it to there and to there. Yes, there is a way to automate it. I ain't found it yet. So let's go to the top. I think there was a question that got fired right away, and so we can start with that and we'll go through chronologically. So I think the first question, unless it was redacted, I don't think it was. Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe it's been moved further down. So hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you can continue to hear me and we can get to the first question. Here we go. I think this is it. With the video music is a bit loud. Personal opinion. Right, I'll dial that down a little bit more for the next broadcast so it's same level as the microwave, the microphone audio, which has been plaguing our broadcast for quite some time. I like the sword. Yes, that was from Mark Blosser, an excellent DLC artist, and working on things as we speak. So more on that when I've got something cool to share and show. Question. Hi, this is very good. How can I add a dead character on GameGuru Classic? Traditionally, you would probably get a model, a character model, find an animation frame that looks like it's on the floor, and then write a little script which sets that frame, and then switch all of the other bits and bobs of that character off. So you're not really using it as a character, just as a model. Set that particular frame and you'll have a dead character on the floor. Not difficult, but you do need to know a little bit of Lua scripting to make that magic happen. Or there may actually already be a script out there in GameGuru Classic Land, because that's been going for probably a decade now, and I'm pretty sure there is some information out there. I'd ask on Discord, maybe someone will just drop a script right into your lap and you can start using it for dead characters. Or you could just go into a 3D modeler and model a dead character and then just import it. So there's multiple ways of doing it. Okay, and that's a question. That's not a question. That's not a question. This is a question from Paul Walker. Is the new weapon system still based on mod from FPS creator days, or was it a rebuild? No, the new weapon system in GameGuru Max is completely written from scratch because we want to do a lot of really cool things, like just give you a bit of context here. We click on this character and go into customize. We could do extra things now. We wanted a way in which you could share animations across weapons, make it easier for artists to create, certainly melee weapons, but also be able to change the hands as well. The old weapon system, it was just one model and everything was baked in. Now we can change the hand models, the weapons, the animations that that weapon uses, and all the settings for the weapons. In the future, there may be a way to have more control over what that weapon is. I personally am a fan of Fallout 4, and I like the idea that you can customize the weapons as you go through the game, effectively upgrading the armory that you've got. Start with like an iron bar on level 1. By the time you get to level 15, you've got every gun with all the mods that you want, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was certainly inspired by mod. Obviously, we build on top of the last things we've done, and the current GameGuru Max weapon system is backwards compatible with a lot of that stuff. Certainly not everything, but yes, you can get a lot of the classic weapons sort of working in GameGuru Max, but there still has to be some modifications on that. Okay, next question. I think it's a little bit further down. There's a corpse behaviour. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Someone's going to have to go find out on Discord if there is one. But yeah, it was basically a script with 2 lines in it if you were to create one. Is this a big question? I can't see this question mark on it. I don't think it is. It's just some lovely chat. So let me scroll down until I find this question mark. Always a useful indicator. Okay, here's a question. Paul, I don't have that as an option. Is it for beta build? So we're going to have to filter out questions that are between people in the live chat and questions directed at me. I think this is one directed at me. Will the polygon system be by map or by project, i.e. if I set it to 1 to 20, map 1, I see what you mean. The polygon setting is per object. So it doesn't matter if you're in one level or another level, then that object has its set LODs. I think there is a modifier though for LOD. Let me just have a quick look, because I do remember there was a LOD modifier. If we go into graphics and performance, yeah, there it is. So this is per level, this one. So you could actually, even though the objects aren't being changed each time, they just remember their LOD settings, but you get to decide when they pop from one to another based on this multiplier. So that's per level. So potentially the best of both worlds there. Okay, another question. I think it's another question. It is another question. Possibly only in EXP and TD question mark. It's been there for a while. It's not a question. I gotta be very careful. Tread lightly now, Lee, for finding the right questions. Okay, and is this a long question? No, not a question. This is a question from Blood Moon. How close would you say we are to seeing Project System released? Good question. I'm sure a lot of people will want to know the answer to that. Unfortunately, I can't provide an exact date. All I can say is what was intended, 80% of it has been done. There is still some testing to do at when we get to 100%. But I'm pretty happy now that almost all of the files that I wanted to get into the remote project system is in there. It's just mixing up a little bit now with, do we want to go a little bit further, like adding your own custom skyboxes, or adding your own grass and adding your own terrain textures and these sorts of things. But at some point we'll be able to draw a line under it and say that's okay for version 1, and then we release. So all I can really say, it's about 80% and slowly increasing. I say slowly because of all the other things I've mentioned that we've been working on. So it's creeping up to that 100% mark. Okay, oh, it scrolled on me. I'll have to find it again. There you go. Okay, cool. What's up with VR? It's broken, I think. It used to work a couple of builds ago. It got broke and didn't really get picked up. And so if you want VR, you'll have to step back through a couple of builds. They're all on Steam. You can just roll back to one where VR worked. But yeah, that's in the bug issues report, and we are going to fix it, and so everyone can have it. And for anyone who's joining, who's new to GameGuru Max, it's not a comprehensive virtual reality support. It's basically just allowing you to have a headset, run around your scene. You've got some basic weapon and interaction controls. It's not the be all and end all. It's certainly not a VR game maker. But if you've got a headset, it's quite good fun just actually standing and immersing yourself in levels that you've created yourself. So yes, at the moment, Loretta, it is broken, and we will be fixing it at some point. Hopefully not in the too distant future. Okay, regarding corpse behaviour, there's a script for play frames in Classic. Yes, there is. Actually, that's right. I think it's called Play Animation, and I think even GameGuru Max has it as well. So yeah, go check out if it already exists. You don't have to write one then. Okay, and weather conditions when you put them on automatic. Yeah, those we have two weathers. We've got rain and snow, but the snow that you saw in Prebends, that's a different kind of effect. That's a post-process effect, and as you'll agree, much nicer. And as soon as we figure out how to expose that effect, we'll probably add it to the weather as options. As you can see, you've just got normal, and then you've got some basic rain, we're going to call it basic, and basic snow, which just looks rubbish compared to Prebends, but as soon as we can expose it, we'll probably add it to the weather system, so you can have nicer looking weather. And of course you want to be able to control this on a per level basis, which you can do through this. And I think also there's some commands which allow you to switch the weather on and off in Lua script, just in case you want to be able to dynamic. And I'm not sure whether the snow effect will actually stop when you're inside. I think that's something you'd have to do yourself, or maybe we'll do a nice little trick which just sends a raycast up from the player, and if it hits a ceiling it can automatically switch the weather off. But I digress. That's a brief conversation for another day. Another question, will it be possible to have animated elements on the title's loading screens, embers floating on the title screen, or hints and tips on a loading screen? Yes, that has been requested, along with video playback, which could allow you to do a lot of the same kind of things. But the way people have been getting around it right now is have a really basic loading screen, and then as soon as the game starts, you actually hit them with a HUD, and then you can do all the animations and 3D and text and stuff that you want. And then whilst you're on that HUD for like 10-15 seconds, do your animations and stuff, and then you just fade that out, and then you're back into the game. So that's the hack version. I suppose the question is, can we have it inside the level, the screen editor part in the storyboard? It's certainly a feature, and I'm going to get rid of all the bugs before we start going down the road of adding features. But if it doesn't already exist, please add it as a feature request in the issues board, and then send me a link at lee@thegamecreators.com, and I will tag it. And in the process of tagging it, it'll be a lot harder for me to forget it. And then next time I'm in the screen editor area, for example, there was a request to have player lives. That's what you can see there, on the big one there. That is actually the lives the player has, and it was requested because some people want to play around with multiple lives in the game, and that was a really quick add. So sort of the next time I'm in the screen editor, it might be easy to add another gadget that plays a video, for example, which gives you all the things that you want for animating. Obviously there's more things you can add, but I think video is probably a good first step, because within the video import you can put anything you want, really. Okay, it looks like I've lost my place, so I'm going to have to scrolly, but not too far. A lot of redacteds going on. I think I found my place, haven't I? No, that's too far. Keep going. Yeah. No, I think we've nearly finished. So we're half an hour in. I don't mind finishing early if everyone's exhausted the supply of questions, but let me just make sure I've not missed any. Okay. One underneath. Deleting my comments that you've passed wasn't directed at you, already read. That's fine. That's what live chat's for. What else can we find here? I've not been able to find a switch rain on and off in the script as needed to do that recently. Yeah, I'm not absolutely 100% positive there is a command. It's super easy to add something like that. So if you put a feature request in the issues board, and again, email me so I can tag it, that might be one of them little 5-minute things that can go in quite quickly. Adding lure commands to switch things on and off, relatively easy to do, so it won't get in the way of bug fixing. Another question, no, please use comments. I updated the user manual. This is from Blood Moon. I updated the user manual recently. When can we expect to see that updated for everyone? That usually comes in with the builds. I know what you mean. Right now we're really just doing the dev test builds branches a lot, just because there's a lot of interesting half completed stuff in there. We want to kind of get it into a solid state and test it before we move it up to an EXP build. Now the EXP build doesn't have a password on it, I don't think, so that's probably going to be the first time where it's available to the majority of the public. And as to the official versions, the plan is to do 4 quarterly updates a year, similar to what we're doing with GameGuru Classic. But anyone who kind of wants sort of the cutting edge stuff, but something that's been tested, then there's an EXP, an experimental build that you can switch onto. So as to the guide, when we do bug fixes, I usually run a script which grabs all the latest versions from Workshop, and then that goes into the next sort of build, the stock build. But yeah, if you want to just drop me an email on that guide, I'll make sure that that gets done, because if there is a new version, I'm sure a lot of people will want to have access to it. Okay, is there any other questions? I see the question, maybe copy paste it. I think that's it. Wow, that's probably the first time in over 100 broadcasts we ran out of questions at the halfway mark. And remember, we started 3 minutes late. So that's like 28 minutes. That's some kind of record. But I'm not just going to sneak off. I'll give you all another couple of minutes to think up any other questions that you've got. And also, in addition to questions, one of the things I like about this part of the broadcast is if there's something in the software that you're not familiar with, or you've got a question and you want me to demonstrate it, that's why the software is open right now. So I can show you how to do this, show you how to do that, something to do with characters or weapons or scripts or AI or game settings or level settings or storyboard or screen editors. It's your pick. If there's anything that you'd like to improve on, I could probably go into more details. The feature that's probably had the most stuff crammed into it is this one, the graphics and performance area. As you can see, this doesn't, I mean, 6 months ago it didn't even exist. We just had the post-processing, and you had that for the longest time. All of these were going to go into the post-processing section, but then we realised, actually, this deserves its own category, and quite rightly, because look at all the stuff that's been put in recently. And I think I've also mentioned FSR, the ability to speed up your game no matter what computer you're running on. That's a really cool feature, and it's definitely worth mentioning twice again. Thanks to Predman for implementing that. And we've been looking through the Wicked Engine DX11 version that we're using just to see if there's any other features we can switch on. And yeah, the decal projection, even though it didn't work for splatting things on barrels and doors and floors and hands and swords, I am sure there is a use for it. The code's done. You can get an image and project it from anywhere to anywhere. We just need a good enough feature that it will apply to. Might even just be some script commands, so you can just set them up and do whatever you want with them, and it's not really tied to anything hard-coded. So I deliberately rambled for a bit there just to give you time to ask a few more questions. It looks like we may have another question coming in. What questions do you have for us? My question to you is, do you have any questions? That's my only question I've got. I suppose another question is, you know, are you happy with the just organic development of GameGuru Max? I know it's frustrating when you want a new feature going in, but we made an internal decision to prioritize bugs. So we want it to be fast, stable, compatible, because once you have that, then the game that you're making will also be fast, stable, and compatible, and then you can go out and sell it. So that's really the reason why we always push prioritize bug fixes or functional improvements that make what's good better. So that's the reason why we take this approach, and I hope you agree with that priority. Okay, we're going to have to find the real question. It looks like Talent Gaming might have one. Also, is there a way of entering a video zone? It can mute the audio, so if the video is playing a cutscene, we see the audio for the level to stop. We need the audio for the level to stop. Aha. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think you can do it in script. You can stop all the sounds in a script. Pretty sure you can do that. And then, or muting the video, I suppose just produce a video with no audio in it. That's how I would mute it. But I'm not sure there's a command for stopping the video audio without stopping the video as a whole. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a clue, but if I haven't answered it properly, let me know. In this live chat, because we've got plenty of time, will we ever get a developer layer system for tandem development? Yeah, I always liked the idea of a multi-user game maker, but we seem to be very busy just doing a single user game maker, and we still ain't finished. So I think there'll be some way off. I love the idea of it, collaborative game development, where even as you're standing in your level, it's being built by somebody else halfway around the world. We have the technology. We're quite savvy with Photon, which will give us that infrastructure to be able to do that kind of thing, and that will possibly lead on to some multiplayer work. But as I've repeated probably numerous times, let's just get the single player, single user game maker done to a point where we can create a wide variety of games without needing to script or create models. I think that's still the goal, and we're heading towards it. After that, yeah, it'd be fun to explore multi-user systems. Okay, another question. Will it speed up my new computer with a shiny new 4710? Wow. Yes, absolutely. FSR will speed up anything because basically it cheats. It renders your entire game screen on a smaller area and then uses clever gadgetry to stretch it back up to the size of your monitor. So basically, your computer has less work to do. That's why you get more FPS out of it. The mic is a bit low. Yes, I know. I'm thinking maybe the microphone is on its way out. I've had it 8 years. Maybe it is time to upgrade that hardware. And if everyone else agrees that it's a bit low, then I might make a purchase. Okay, and oh, what's this? I'd like to use a free DAW compression to boost it a bit. Would not hurt. I have no idea what DAW compression is. Fairly out of my depth there. Another question from Talent Gaming. Also, is there a way to enter a video zone? It can mute the audio. I think we've already had that, haven't we? I may have answered that, or maybe I'm reading it twice. Okay. Okay, so not everyone is hearing the faint whisper, and some people are getting some good volume. So thanks for the input. Is that a question? I don't think it's a question. Let me know if it's a question. I need a question mark at the end of it. Definitely got question in square brackets. Perfect. Can we start using at the beginning of our questions question, so there is no confusion as to whom the question is intended? That would be a good practice, actually. That would really help. Finding question marks is easy enough, but a great big question in square brackets, I'll definitely find that. Okay, what feature are you looking forward to working on? What feature am I looking forward to working on? Weapons. yes. We'll be currently working on the melee combat stuff, which is very important because there's a lot of close quarters with the objects we've got right now, like zombies and a lot of these medieval packs that are coming out. You want to be able to do some cool things up close and personal. We chose that because it's the easiest one and we've got the most art around melee combat system. But what I'm really looking forward to is finishing off the new weapon system for projectiles. That's things like rocket launchers, grenades, plasma guns, gravity guns, extinguishers, everything that sort of sends something out into the world, and all the juicy visuals that come with it, tracers, particle effects, effects that linger a long time after you've finished using whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a weapon, it can just be something in your hands that you can use. I think that will be really cool and fun to work on. Problem is, I'm sort of held back a little by not being an artist. so the stuff I kind of work on just looks rubbish even if it's finished. The new weapon system, don't get me wrong, already does a lot, but adding these extra features in I think will make the gunplay, the combat, the meat basically of a game just look and feel a lot better. I think that is the hallmark of a great game, to have a good interactive experience with your scenery, and the only thing you have to interact with is weapons at the moment. So I want to keep working on that, but not just work on it like as a hard-coded thing, but also in such a way as the new weapon system has been designed to do, that eventually third-party artists can take that system and create their own weapons and create their own parameters for melee and projectile combat. So all that will all fuse together, and then somewhere in the distant future we'll be able to bunch it all together and call it a weapons maker. But that's a little way down the road yet. So that's one of the things. I'm excited on lots of different fronts, but that's the one that, I suppose it's the one because I'm working on it right now, it's the one that's exciting me right now. Okay, any more questions? I think there might be at least one more. And no questions up to there. I think that's a question. It's got a question mark in it. Was the Jaybird question answered? Or the pain? I don't know. Was it answered? Let me know if it wasn't answered and ask it again. I think we've got time. Yeah, we've got plenty of time. But medieval facts, yes, medieval pack, very nice DLC. Looking forward to more of those from our amazing artist, Bond1. Here's a question from Frank. How can I create a beautiful sea and beach with skybox and tropic map or question mark? Thanks. I wonder about beautiful subjective, but you can certainly do a sea and a beach, and I will show you. I will even demonstrate it. So you would go out of your level you've been working on, you'll create a new level, and you'll click here to create. That takes you to the terrain generator. Then you'll find something which will have some water in it. I mean, you've got this, but it's dirty water. Plains has nicer water, let's say. So then what you'd probably do is find something that probably starts off as an island, like that. You create this. What should we call it? Sea. Yeah. And then what you got to do, and this is the part where you'll probably start wanting feature requests, is to get rid of all of the land, so you're on an island. So basically what you're having to do now is raise the water level, which I think is here. Is it here or is it somewhere else? It probably is right in front of me now, I can't see it. Sky, music. If anyone knows where the water is, maybe it's in terrain. Could it be in terrain? Yes, it is. So you've got the water height control, you see. So if you raise it, so you've just flooded the earth Also got to find out where the edges are. So you've got another cool thing here called View Options. You can actually see where we are. So that basically gives you an island. And then what we can do is put ourselves on the island. See, we're quite small. And then run that. And now you've got snow. We don't need snow. Thank you. And now you've got basically a start of a sea. And then, obviously, I'm not going to spend ages doing this, but you get the idea that once you've got your general shape, then you can texture it with, say, some sand along there, and maybe you get sand and it goes a bit muddier under the water, and eventually you'll have an entire island, you stand on the coast, and you'll get that. And there's also some water controls for waves and things. If you go into terrain and water, you can see down here there's you can actually control wave sizes and choppiness as well, so it's really big waves. And then I don't know how close we are, so we'll just little star marker, and now you've got waves. So as I said, it's certainly not beautiful. Modern games have some excellent interactions between the sea and the coastline, but you can get, with a bit of crafting and the terrain tools, you should get a nice decent effect to portray the idea that you're on a coastal area for your game. So there you go. That's a perfect question because I could demonstrate it practically in the software. So thank you very much for that question. Now let's see if we've got any more. I don't think we do. I think we've ran out. Yeah, thank you very much, Extreme Strategy. As the software grows, my capacity to remember everything diminishes. Oh, here's a question. Have you seen the water shaders that were created for Macs? If that's a question to me, I haven't seen the water shader created for Macs. Please send me a link to water shader. I'm sure it's excellent, and I would have remembered it, and I probably would have showed it on a broadcast, so please send me the link. I'm sorry if I'm being an idiot and I have seen it and then I've subsequently forgotten. And yeah, okay, any more questions? Yeah, all right, okay, then I probably might have. I follow his Patreon a lot, but he's a high output individual, Preben. So there's so much stuff coming at you from different angles, it's easy to forget one of the amazing things that's going on inside his head. So yeah, I will definitely be checking that out after this broadcast. So I think that will probably be it for questions. I usually try and ramble on to the hour, but there's no point labelling that point. Please do think of questions for next month. We run these broadcasts every Saturday at 7 PM BST. At the moment, we'll switch to GMT once the sun goes away. Another reason for me to end this broadcast 10 minutes early is it's absolutely perishingly hot in this office, and I'd like to switch my air conditioning back on. So you'll create some sanity in my world for 10 more minutes. So thanks very much for attending. Thank you very much for your questions. As I said, I'll be back on the last Saturday of, what is it now, July, August. So the last Saturday in August, whatever day that falls on, at 7 PM BST. So until next month, thank you for your kind attention, and I shall say goodbye.